You know, there's really nothing better than being able to create your own game. And here's a game that you can actually try because it actually takes a little bit of skill. It's called the 7-second game. Here's how it works. When you push button A, it starts a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and then start counting to 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then push B when you're done. It will then tell you if you're off. I'm off by 0.38 seconds. That was pretty close. Then it says SEC at the end. So let me try it again. 3, 2, 1, begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, stop. This time I was off by 0.61 seconds. I was off by half a second. So this is a fun game where you can try to continually beat the clock and try to count down properly. This is basically meant, this countdown at the beginning is meant to sort of start timing because there's a 1 second gap between each of those. So once again, something to create and something that you can play with and see if you can best your time. So here's how we're going to go about creating the flowchart for our 7-second game. I'd like you to go in to your apps and choose lucidchart and make sure you sign in with Google. Now at this point, all of you should have signed in because we've used this program numerous times. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new lucidchart document. So it's the first one down under new. When the chart comes up, I would like you once the chart comes up, we're going to change the page setup just to make sure that we have enough room. So go into page settings, and where it says page size, it probably says letter. I would like you to go to tabloid, and underneath it should say portrait. This will give us plenty of room to create our flowchart today for the 7-second game. In fact, I'm going to start by just calling this second game. You can also at this time rename this by typing in 7-second and your last name. So 7-second with your last name. Then if you go to File and go to Save, we know that this document will actually be saved into your cloud. Now, as you had seen in the first part of this video, there are two basic buttons that are used. The first one is going to be button A. So we're going to begin our program using our terminator that we always use. And when we begin, we're going to check two things. Is button A pressed? And we're going to also copy and paste this because the other option that we have is to press button B. So let's see what happens when button A is pushed. If button A is pressed, these things we know happen. We're going to run a countdown sequence. This will get the game started. So this is where it counts down 3, 2, 1, including graphics and 1 second pauses. Now, this is pretty descriptive and it does several things, but once again, we don't have to write out and show each and every box of what's going to show up. We just need to make sure that we have the thought there. And here we go. So we'll type this is a yes if button A is pushed. Now, there's one other thing that happens that's really important, and that is we are going to set start time to running time in milliseconds. Now, once again, I'm capitalizing what are going to be variables. You're going to need 3 variables for this particular program. So this is then going to flow down into here, and this will flow from this decision down to here, and this decision, this takes us back into the main flow of the program. So what happens when button B is pressed? When button B is pressed, the program technically stops. It does the calculations. So we're going to have several things to calculate here. So if button B is pressed, this will be a yes. And let's look at the things that are going to be calculated when button B is pressed. First, we are going to set an elapsed time. This is a new variable that you will create to the running time in milliseconds minus your start time. Now, this will be a mathematical equation that we're going to create when we actually start coding. And the other thing we need to do is you know what, I'm just going to move this down because I noticed it's running over the top there. And the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to set the score. So the score is going to be the absolute value of the elapsed time, which is the variable that you created, minus 7,000. Now, a couple of things. We're using 7,000 because this is the microbit calculates time in milliseconds. So if it's milli, it means 1,000. So 7,000 equals 7 seconds. So it's going to set the score to the elapsed time minus 7 seconds. And what this will do is it will give us the difference eventually of what your score is in milliseconds. So once that's done, we're going to check to see if the score is the score equal to 0. Now, if the score is equal to 0, you've won the game. So a couple things are going to happen. our winning sequence is going to say print the text winner on LCD. So it'll print, or we'll use the word display. It's going to display the text winner on the LCD, but it's also going to do one other thing, which is really important, and it's going to play a little song. So it's going to play the winning tones to let you know that you've won. Now, so we're going to have an arrow here. This is going to come down. So is the score 0? Now, if the score is not 0, what it's going to do is this will be a no. It's going to calculate the difference for you. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to calculate the difference from 7 seconds. And this is going to be done. We're going to take the absolute value of the score, and we're going to divide it (1,000). Oops, not 7,000, but we're going to divide it by 1,000. What that will do is it will change the score into seconds, so it'll be easier to understand. And then it's going to actually display off by the number of seconds. And I just will keep it quick just so it doesn't take too long to display. So let's just go through this again here, make sure this is all working properly. And when this is also done, it'll go back up to the beginning, and we want to move this over to that arrow right there. So let's just follow this through quickly. When we begin, we're checking to see if button A is pushed. If button A is pushed, we're going to run a countdown sequence, which includes graphics and 1-second pauses. That's to sort of get you in that 1-second time frame. It's going to set the start time to the running time in milliseconds. And this is something that the microbit calculates. So it already has like a built-in internal stopwatch. Next, it's going to ask, is button B pressed? If button B is pressed, it's going to set the elapsed time, so the time that it was running, to minus the start time. So this will actually calculate the amount of time that was running from the time you started until the time you push button B. You're going to set the score to the absolute value of the elapsed time minus 7,000. So it's going to calculate in thousands the number of milliseconds from the start to the time you push the B button. Now, if the score is 0, that means you were right on 7 seconds. So it's going to display the winner badge on the LCDs, and it's going to play some tones. So, da-da-da-da-da-da, it'll play that. Now, if your score was not 0, if you didn't win, it's going to calculate the difference from the 7 seconds. So it will actually show the score down here by saying you were off by so many seconds. And then it lets you go up and you can play it again. When you are finished with this flowchart, you are going to hit share. You're going to get a shareable link. You will copy the link. Once it says link copied, you know you're good. You will then go into Classroom, and under Classwork, you will go to the 7-second game assignment. This will be the flowchart. You'll click on View Assignment. You will click on Add or Create. You're going to create a link, and now you're going to Control V to paste the link in. You'll add the link, and then make sure that you click on Turn In to complete the assignment. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me or check with me during office hours. Good luck.